Welcome in one of one interviews. We got Mike Jones here today and Rich Dutton, Uncle Rico.
Rico.
Yeah, so I was talking to Mike. Mike is a mod in the collective and he's all over the place everywhere. But we were talking the other day and he was telling me about his backstory. And I thought it was way too interesting to just hear it myself. So this interview is designed so Mike can tell his story naturally. I just want to make sure that this isn't litigation or anything. It's just him talking and us listening, and then we'll go from there. So, before we get into anything else, Mike, do me a favor and introduce yourself.
Mike Jones. Like you said, I'm a moderator in Collective, and I'm all over the place, all over Facebook. 2 years ago, when this story happened, I would consider how I play now as being big time, but now it's not big time anymore in the hobby. But yep, as me.
All right, right on. And Rich, introduce yourself too, because nobody knows who you are.
They call me Dutton Do Nothing. I'm an admin in Collective. I've been all over the place, man, everywhere. And it was kind of surprised to be on this video today, but I'm here for you. Let's have some fun. Let's hear some stuff, and let's rock.
Right on. All right. So Mike, I want you to kind of explain from the very beginning, like I've never heard this before. So take me back to the start of this deal gone wrong, and how did the whole thing arise? How did you and said individual come together?
Well, got to go back pretty much to mid 2023. I was I was in the hobby, but I was only on buy and sell pages. Never did line, never didn't know what a line was. Never heard of a flash. Did a few breaks. I had a guy that I broke with, for a couple of years, and kind of kept to myself. Um, ran some sales on some of the bigger Facebook pages that are only sales. So got invited to a group. Okay to say what group it
Yeah,
was?
you can say whatever you want.
313 cards. Got invited there from a couple people that I met from Rich already knows.
Fuck.
All right, go ahead. Sorry. So got invited to a group from a couple people that I'd met in the buy sell pages, and and got in there, started playing, and this is back in a time where, man, me playing $100 a week was a lot, So, um, you know, it was tough for me to spend $30-$40 on a card, For now, it's nothing, 400 or 500, but um, so got in there and got to playing and got to know the admins and the owner of the room. Thought I become pretty good friends with the owner of the room. We would talk on all the time. He had my number. I had his phone number. We'd talk pretty much nightly. If we didn't talk, his wife would call and let me know what was going on, working through things in the room, trying to build the room. And got moved up to a mod, to an admin pretty quick. It was 4 of us admins. Um, didn't think nothing of it. We had a couple people leave that were mods and admins. Didn't think anything of it because they didn't say anything. That becomes important later on, is they didn't say anything. And middle of December or first part of December, he came to me and said, "Hey, he said, I want to do a New Year's break repack of nothing but downtowns and kabooms. And this starts the progression." And great idea. 25 packs, everybody gets a kaboom or downtown with a Patrick Mahomes chase in it. And I bought 2 spots in it to make sure we got it filled. And then right before Christmas, he had a deal come up where he said he had a guy he knew, sent me pictures of all the cards, about $6,000 worth is what he said he was going to pay for them. It was about $9,000 worth of cards, getting it at 75%, which not too out of line.
Right.
And he asked me, I want to buy, pay half of it, and we'd get them back in the room. we'd flash them and take them. I said, "Look, I ain't got $3,000, but I put 1,500 in for 25%." Um, or yeah, and, that's where this whole thing starts going downhill.
Geez. So all right. First off, were had they been running any kind of repacks in the room, or was this the first set of repacks?
He was running repacks.
Okay, so all right. So that was done, and when he was running anything, I mean, was it typically him, or did he already
Yes.
did? Okay,
Yeah.
so you weren't aware of any like behind the scenes investors or anything.
No.
Okay, so then like at this point, what are your expectations going into this? You guys get the cards and just basically get your cut once you guys are you supposed to evenly do the work, or how is it all
Y
supposed to go down?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way we were gonna do it. We were gonna I was gonna host some flashes for some of this stuff, and he was gonna host some, and then when it was done, we would, I'd take my 25% cut, he'd take his 75%, and, hopefully we made a good bit of money on these and, go on about our way and hopefully do it again.
All right. So at the start of it, was there anything that felt off, or did it seem cool? Seem
Everything felt good. I mean, I was sending this guy, a couple hundred, $100 a week, $200 a week. Um, Never felt like there was anything off. We were running, 4, 5, 6 flashes a week, running lines every week. Um, he was running 4, 5, 6 breaks a week. So I never felt like anything was off. I had always got my stuff on time. Um, Everything was showing up.
all right. So then what happened?
Right after Christmas, I got a message from a guy who's like, "Man, remember me going back? People not saying anything when they left." He said, "Man, I see you in deep. Let me tell you what happened to me." And next thing I know, Ray is on the scammers page by a guy, and I'm getting phone calls from Ray. I mean, he's calling me. "Hey, man, don't believe anything he says, man. This isn't what happened. This isn't what happened." And going through and reading and talking to both people and knowing both people, I could see that both sides may have contributed to the fact that of what happened, and neither side was really in the right and really in the wrong. But it really took weird after that, because then I got a phone call from his wife and said, "Hey, he's on his way to Georgia to uh to meet the guy that just posted him." I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
so so luckily I had the other guy's phone number, and I called him and told him what was going on, and he turned back around and went back to Detroit. But after that, things just started going downhill. We
Now
had the
he was heading there because of what was posted on Scammers?
Yes.
Okay, just, not necessarily because that guy owed him or anything, it just the defamation, if you will, or him busting him out.
Yep.
Right on. Alright, sorry, go continue on, sir.
So then we get to New Year's Eve, or the repat break happens, and, um, remember I hit a Bijan downtown and a Jordan Addison downtown, and next week I got the Bijan in. "Hey, where's the Jordan Addison?" "Oh, man, I forgot to ship it. It's coming." And this went on for a couple days, and, I said, "You got our cards?" "Oh, I met the guy and gave him the money, but he forgot to bring the cards." "What do you mean you gave him the money?"
Right.
"Well, I gave him the money. I trust him. He'll give me the cards tomorrow." And then nothing. Then everything just went downhill from there. "Well, I can't ship your Addison. I hadn't shipped yet." And you've read all the messages. Then he started wanting, "Well, I can't ship until people pay me for shipping." And when did anybody ever start paying for shipping after you've already won something?
Right.
And then went on to, "Well, because I told him I wanted to send the Addison in to be graded. Well, you really don't want to do that because it's bent." Well, who puts a bent card into a repack?
Hmm. You'd be surprised.
True.
Right.
So then, I start wanting my money or cards. $1,500, and I had Addison rookies close to 2 grand at that time. And
Right.
for someone who was only spending 100, maybe 200 a week, that was a lot of money for me, in the hobby then. um, and then it went, just kept going sideways. And then he said, "Well, I'm gonna give you part of the room." Oh, I don't want part of the. What do you mean ownership? Part of the room? Yeah, I'm gonna. He sent me some document he created. He says, "Send me $450 for a notary, and you'll be up part owner of the room." I don't want to be part owner of the room, and I'm not sending you any more money.
So if you were part owner of the room, what would that give you? Or what was his idea on that?
He didn't have an idea. That was the thing. He just wanted more money.
So we're just a typical scammer, just robbing Peter to pay Paul with his own words.
Yes,
Okay. Dang.
he actually got a guy who gave him $450 for a part of the room.
Hmm.
Wow. Wow. All right.
Uh,
So you don't want the room. You just want your shit.
Or my money. One of the two. I don't care.
How's his like when you ask him things at this point, like, hey, or you tell him no, I don't want part of your room or whatever the case, what's his attitude like towards you?
He starts getting very defensive. He starts getting very I mean, he would call me, and it would turn into just him yelling and screaming that I was racist because he was Middle Eastern, or things like that, that I just was uncooperative with him, that I was being unreasonable.
Yeah, unreasonable to want your 2 grand. That's wild. So then what? So then what happens?
What goes on for a couple weeks, I wound up posting him to scammers, which really sets him and quite a few people in the group off.
Really?
Oh yeah, the other guy who bought part of the room, and another guy who was an admin at the time, they both were messing with me. Hey man, he says he's going to get you stuff. He's going to get you stuff. Well, we believe him. We believe him. I said, well, put your money where your mouth is and send me the money, and hey, then you can just get the money back from him. And
uh,
they didn't like that either. But this goes on for a couple weeks, and he begs me to take the scammers post down. And I made a update to the scammers post, talking about that. And
Good.
never it finally just blocks me, blocks my number. Um, but I'll tell you, I got phone calls that he was headed to Alabama. Me and my wife, we watched out for a couple weeks just to make sure,
Sure.
because he was going crazy. He was also trying to set up a shop at the time, but when I brought it out about what happened to me, then the floodgates opened, and a lot of people um, come out about the things that he had done in the past year, of where they had been scammed as well, but had kept their mouth shut because they didn't believe people would believe them, or they just didn't want to get involved. And a couple of these were some big time breakers out there on Facebook who had the name recognition, who, if they had have said something earlier, they would have probably put a stop. It would have probably put a stop to what he was doing earlier.
Hmm. Rich, do you see that a lot? I know you've been around a little bit longer than us, in the Facebook world at least. Do you see that a lot, that once somebody finally does drop it on scammer or just come out and say or whatever, then the floodgates start to open?
it's kind of crazy that we're doing this interview. Yeah, I mean it's you want to trust people, right? Like like the biggest part of the hobby is like community. It's huge because we consider ourselves friends, right? You
Mhm.
know,
Sure.
it's more than just a dollar or a card or whatever. And I think we like turn our head towards stuff that happens in the hobby sometimes for certain people because we believe, hey man, this was a blimp. They made a mistake. It's never going to happen again. But in reality, man, once you start taking cookies out the jar and nobody says anything, you're just gonna take more and more cookies out the jar until the bitch is empty. Um, the crazy part about this whole thing is I did not know that was Mike Jones during that period of time because that shit was everywhere, and he tried to scam me and Patrick also.
No shit.
Not True Blood, but Ziarno.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we bought wax from him, dude. 21 Prism blasters, and it was
Yeah.
cheap as hell.
I know why.
I
You know
remember
why it was
this.
cheap, don't you?
I heard he was stealing it or something like that afterwards. I
He
heard that.
he ran a group of gas stations, and people were stealing it and bringing it to him to get gas.
This is also the same guy that did a line for the car, right?
Yes, it is.
Holy fuck, a Mercedes or something.
I remember that motherfucker. Now I remember.
So I seen a video during this whole period of damn time when all this was going on, and I didn't connect it with Mike Jones till now, but of him doing like a huge fucking break with like 300 blasters or some shit, and people were complaining because they didn't get their packages. I was actually one of those people. And he was walking around like, here's a blaster, here's a pack, just throwing them in the boxes like he was going to send them out. Nobody ever got their shit, I don't think. I think that's where part of it started coming out. And
That
then when he got screwed over was when it exploded. So,
that break was supposed to be to pay me back.
yeah.
No
Well,
shit.
it didn't, and nobody else got their shit either. So,
Yep.
So he just made more money.
But dude, he would call. It wasn't just Mike. This motherfucker would call like on FaceTime or Messenger or whatever. He'd be in his bedroom with the mirror behind him, and the bedroom was always a fucking wreck. So I'm sitting here thinking like, this dude's talking about he's got millions and shit and he's rich, but this dude's bedroom looks like a hoarder's edition, you know what I mean? Like it just
Mm-hmm.
didn't make sense visually. Um so I think the dude was a scammer from day one, and he just presented himself as something he wasn't, and was
Yeah.
making all this money on the hobby and churning it. And what happens, and I've seen it a lot, I've seen guys disappear with case breaks as they churn this money. They churn this money. What they're doing is they're paying their bills at home with the money they're churning. They're not reinvesting, and then they run out of money to ship or get the product they're supposed to get people. And that's probably what happened with him with the scammers mentality on top of it. You know what I mean? Would be
Wild.
my guess.
So all right, Mike. So it's been weeks. He's asking you to take shit down. What happens?
I don't take anything down. Of course,
He
you know, I
blocked you.
posted.
Mm-hmm.
He blocked me. So I start going through the other admin in the group
Okay.
who actually I still talk to one of them today. He left right after I did because he got scammed after I did.
Jesus.
Didn't learn. In fact, that group has been put on scammers 2 or 3 more times since I left.
Damn.
But go on, he blocks me. Nothing ever comes of it. I never see any money. I never see my cards. So, almost left the hobby after that.
No
That
shit.
was
I'm amazed you're still here. I would be done. And I would. Ugh.
that was a huge blow for me.
Yeah.
Financially, you know, emotionally, you know, I really, really considered it. And, you know, I had a few people who I met after that. One that had left 313 who I'm still really, really, really good friends with now before it happened. And some other people, and they got me actually over into another group that you know, I guess let me build some more money back up and let me play. And since then, you know, I went on to, you know, admin or mod a couple different other groups, and now I'm here in collective. And
You're where you're supposed to be now.
Yes,
hell yeah.
sir.
You know, yes, I've come back bigger and better. But yeah, it was for a couple months there. I really contemplated just walking away from the hobby altogether, though.
So, how did your wife take all this whole situation?
Oh, she was pissed
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I mean, I'm one of those few, and I don't know how y'all are. My wife knows everything I do in the hobby.
Same.
She knows how much I spend. She doesn't like it, but she knows how much it is. She has access to every one of my accounts to look at. She goes does card shows with me. She opens packages for me. You know, she actually likes opening wax with me.
Yeah.
Um,
Mine too.
So, and then I buy she likes it when things come in because I get her Pokemon cards. She loves Pokemons.
Right on.
Um,
That's
but yeah,
awesome.
she was pissed.
For sure.
She was
Yeah.
upset. She was mad because, that was money that came out of at that time, I didn't separate money.
Mhm.
Now my card money is separate from the house money. Back then, it wasn't, so this was bill money
Yeah.
Mhm.
that I'd used. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Rich, what do you say? One of the first things you told me in our first interview. What do you got to do with them accounts?
You talking about your bank versus your play account?
Yes, sir.
You gotta completely separate them, man. Because I mean, what happens is you do $5, right? You're like, fuck it, it's not gonna hurt my bank. I got 1,000 in there, and then you do five more, and then you do 8 flashes in one day, and then it turns into 10, and then it turns into 30, and then before you know it, you're having to explain why your rent's gone. You know what I mean, or your mortgage, or whatever. I mean, you literally have to recycle it, man. You have to recycle it. I think we talked about this in the first interview about flashing, lining, buying, all that. And the reason why is because you will run out of inventory support, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, because you're gonna flash and you're gonna line to support more. Um, you have to build that, but you have to keep that separate, because your family, you got to remember, it's not your family's fault you like to gamble. It's not your family's fault you love cards. That's all you. So why should they be affected by something you like to do? Um,
Yeah,
keep it separate.
that is the one thing that came out of this for me as well, is I had to keep that stuff separate.
You can't burn your family, man. It's not. There's nothing in this world worth burning your family over. It's not.
I mean, I was lucky
So
she knew and she was okay with she had agreed with what I was doing, otherwise it would have been an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Because then
can't say I can't say that my wife knows all the money I spend in the hobby. Um, she knows all the money I spend in the hobby out of our money. Okay. Like, and that's why I keep the play separate,
right.
because then when I got 30 packages showing up, she's not like, where the fuck did all that money come from? All
Yeah,
right, well, this is money that didn't come out the house. And I also make sure that I put money back in the house from cards, right? That's
Yep.
important too. Like, it's important to say, hey, it's okay for me to go pay $100 bill with this $100. That's okay. But it's not okay to take from your family. It's really
You know,
not.
I have this rule, we try to go out once a month on money I make from cards.
That's it, man. That's
I
it.
mean, we try to go do one really good, nice dinner a month on stuff that on money I make from cards.
that's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, and I mean, I try to mine are separate, and like you, Rich, she doesn't know. I mean, she has access to it all, but she doesn't
Sure.
check. But when all these packages come up, it's the same situation.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing that I think, us regular guys, I'm not talking about these big hitters. That's a whole different ballgame. I'm talking about us regular dudes that do our thing, maybe a little bit more than the regular guy, but we're still regular dudes. Um, we're taking a lot of time away from family. You're looking for cards, you're lining cards, you're making deals, you're doing whatever, you're spending time on Facebook, um, doing this with me, interviewing. We're taking all this time away from family. It's all right to throw money back at them there. So it's cool, guys. You don't have to reinvest everything to yourself.
You don't. You
So
definitely don't.
my as far as this is a hard thing for me. Like I've I've had some issues, but it was minor in comparison money wise. How do you come back? How do you trust me? How do you trust Rich? Like, how do you do that?
I guess it's just, my nature is I'm a trusting person.
Uh-huh.
Um, I've got people out there in the hobby though I don't trust. But I always give everybody the benefit of the doubt until you're good with me until you're not.
Yeah,
Um, there's some people out there though that there's a few that I don't trust, even if they've always been good to me, or they look like they are.
Mhm.
Um, prob Even after this, I've had a couple times been scammed on some smaller stuff, and there's one. Hey, there was a one that I bought on a group a year after that happened for $200. And as soon as I died, I told my wife, said, "I'm glad I paid good in services because I know I'm not getting that card."
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um, and I was right.
yeah,
A lot more cautious now, though.
for sure.
Mhm.
So
Sorry.
that you're good. That 313 room. I'm just curious to how their infrastructure was built. Um, was anybody allowed to line or break or do anything, or did they have to be
Oh,
on a vouch list, or was it only admins, or how'd that work?
this is a funny thing, and now looking back, this was really strange and weird. Anybody could line, but you paid 10% to the owner for the line to line,
Mm.
Mm,
either
mm.
as a spot in
Ugh,
the line or as cash afterwards.
Jesus.
I've seen rooms like that.
It's rough
I've seen
though.
rooms like that. A lot, not a lot, but enough.
And for a flash, I hosted flashes in there. The flash host got 15%, and the owner of the room where they had anything to do with it, I got 10%.
I Jesus, I know a huge room like that. And they're successful, and I mean it works for them because they don't allow anybody else. Like, I understand the why, but like, fuck off, guy. You're not doing nothing but owning the room. Like, hey, come over here and flash with us. Whatever.
I mean,
Anyways,
looking back now and being in the rooms that I've been in and being part of admin teams and mod teams, that is, I was like, what was I thinking? You
sure.
know? Um, but yeah, anybody could lie. In fact, I won my first downtown in that room. Um, and first big card I ever won was in that room. But yeah, anybody could line or flash. Nobody could break but him. But it
So what should guys take away? Our room, what, 6,000 members ish. Um, there's plenty of guys that every day they're getting ready to do, or they're doing their first or second line, and they're trying to break in. They're trying to do what we're all doing. Probably so their wife's not yelling at them as much about spending. But it's a good way to get rid of cards. It's not your PC and all that stuff. As somebody's going into this situation and they're meeting all these people, they see us. They see our relationships and how we talk, and how the group chat talks, and they're getting to be part of it, but they're not there yet because they just haven't been there long enough to really know what's something you like, some advice you'd give them, something to take away from this, something to look out for. Like, what are some things you would tell these guys?
first, make sure you're dealing with people who have a name in the hobby. Don't There's a lot of fly by night rooms out there, and there's rooms popping up every day. Make sure you know what you're getting into. Make sure that the people you are aligning yourself with have your interest, and in their sights as well. Um, there are so many rooms out there I see that are just the wild, wild west now. They don't care. They'll I see all the time, people flashing 30 and $40 cards at an hour and making 300-400 bucks. And you get the card. If you doubt something, always check comps.
Mhm.
Always check the comps. It's and we've talked about it in you know, our um our chats. There's nothing worse than look at, you buy 4 spots because most of y'all know if I'm in a line, I'm buying 4 spots.
Right? You got to
Mhm.
go big.
Uh, um, and buy 4 at 10 and you get the card in and it's a $40 card because I
Whew.
I I didn't check comps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always, trust but verify in this hobby. Everything's trust but verify.
That's perfect. That's true. And while we're talking about it, guys, anybody listening, even if you're in our room or not, you can hit me up. I'm sure you can hit either one of these guys up if you need help with comps. We will help you. We're not going to ask for anything because, and we'll show you how we do it. And what we use. It's not hard, guys. We gotta make sure we're doing it. Rich, you got anything to add to that about safety?
Um, I mean, if it feels bad, it's bad, man. You know? I think that's the biggest thing I learned in this hobby is if I get a gut feeling, I'm just staying away from it. Um, and the main reason for that is when I go into places and I support, I usually help in those rooms a little bit. I tag a little bit, you know. There's usually a person that I really like that's an admin or mod in there. Um, but I agree with Mike 100% is you got to know who you're surrounding yourself with, man. And there's just certain vibes that you get that you should pay attention to, you know? I mean, we've all had them, right?
Hmm.
I know we have. Like, there's just something about this person that just seems off,
Hmm.
you know? It starts like that, and then you really start to care for that person, you know? It's more than just money. Probably that way with Mike because he was talking to him every day, you know? Um, but you just gotta be really cautious, man. I surround myself with people surround themselves with me, right? Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
I have like-minded people in the hobby that I surround myself with. And that's not financially because my friends go from guys who make 3 to 500,000 a year to guys or 300,000 a year to guys who may be on disability. I've had friends that are on disability and they're limited. They can only play the beginning of the month, right? And I know who they are because I have them one-on-one conversations. And they've played in my stuff, I've played in their stuff. We form relationships where we send each other stuff for free. You know, it's really big to know who you're playing with, right? But it's also big to not lose trust in the hobby. Um, if you give up after you get scammed, then none of us would be here because we've all in some fashion have been scammed in any different way, whether it was scammed as in you thought that person was a really good person and a really good friend and they just did you wrong on something, not necessarily money, or if you just got, you know, fucked sideways
It,
from a guy who refused to take goods and services, you know, and you did it because you thought just maybe it was going to be all right. It happens, man. It
it
happens.
you know, the biggest thing that bothered me after that was the fact that I thought he was a friend.
Yeah,
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
it was somebody that, like you said, I talked to every day,
Been there, man. I've been
and
there.
that was the hardest thing to come back from.
That shit hurts when you're a good person, man. That's the
It
bad part is when you're a good fucking person, it's not about the money and it's not about the cars because you can replace that shit, right? It's actually about being a good fucking person and caring about them. That's what hurts the most. Dude, you could take my money, but you hurt my pride quicker than anything else, right?
mm,
I mean, honestly.
you know,
Um,
it was funny. The Addison, I chased it until this past year, and I finally won one.
where's it at? Let's see it.
Finally won it in a PSA 10 as well.
There you
Hey,
go.
that's a big fuck you to 313.
Yeah, no
Just
shit.
saying.
Oh man. Well, that's wild. So accountability is everything in this. Your name is everything. You know, when somebody tags me for, to vouch for somebody, especially in a room I'm not in, you know, if you don't get me, if I don't respond, you should wonder why. It's pretty obvious, but when we do that, I'm saying I am on the hook for you, and we should not take that shit lightly at all. You can't, just because you've dealt with them for a month and everything's been
Yeah.
fine. You gotta be careful with your vouchers, but accountability in the hobby is everything. So when I say that to you, Mike, like, when you think about accountability, what does that mean to you now? Like, it's got to be different.
It is. I tell everybody now, excluding people, excluding admin and mods and collective, there's only 6 people in the hobby I will wallet vouch for any day of the week, and there's very few that I'll put my name on a vouch list for. Yes, I'm a trusting person, but after that, I'm not gonna put my neck out on the line for people unless I've dealt with them, you know,
Yeah.
continuously for quite a
Mhm.
while. And there's people, there's probably 6 people outside our group that I talk to every day on a daily basis and multiple times a day that I'll put my neck out for. Other than
Mhm.
that, you've got to earn trust, and you've got to earn trust with me, and you've got to earn trust in this hobby. Um, it is the old saying, "You're good until you're not,"
Mhm.
Yep.
and everybody is one slip up away from being not good.
For
Yeah.
sure.
You know,
It's
we're all and we all have had a instance, and I know y'all have as well, where you could have turned bad very quickly. You know, one thing leads to another. Even today, you know, we get in situations where, hey, I could walk away and take that now, but you just got to keep your character, and you got to make sure you surround yourself with people who, no matter what, will do what it takes to keep their name, because that's all we have in this hobby is our name.
that's right.
Well, I mean,
That's
what's
right.
the difference between a good person and a bad person? Opportunity, man. That's it.
Yep.
Um, I mean, really, really, in reality, you see a lot of good people in real life. We're not even talking about just cards. You see a lot of good people just do dumb shit, and there are moments in their life where they're just like, I don't know if they're trapped in a position they're in, or and that's normally where it happens. It's not necessarily that they were bad people. It's just that they got in so deep they couldn't climb out, and their way of climbing out was, to get somebody else.
Mhm.
Is that right? No, hell no, it's not. And they
You
should
know,
be executed from the hobby, in certain circumstances, but
yeah. We
it
we had a
happens.
we had a saying in the army that there was only one thief and everybody else was just trying to get their shit back.
Yeah,
It's true to a degree, but like, ah, motherfucker, you still stole too. And
yeah,
you're
yeah,
probably the dude that parks your grocery cart next to my truck because you don't want to
yeah.
walk it back, you fucking dirtbag. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, we can do so much with vouch lists and we can do so much with that, but the shit is gonna happen. We're dealing with money and we're dealing with shipping, and then that we're dealing with outside factors that we can't control. One thing though, I did want to talk about is when you put it on scammers and you had like his fanboys or his people jump on, I see that a lot. Not just with scammers though; they're the thank God for them. They're the one, but like this shit happens, right? This mob mentality, this hive mind, where the same people that didn't not the same people, but like the same ideology where people they don't want to be the first to say something. They don't want the backlash, whatever it is. So they don't say nothing. But when somebody else does, then they'll say it. Are the same people that'll jump on board saying so and so's a bad guy when they have no fucking truth to the matter. They have, and it's just this whole like everybody trying to jerk off the cool guy, and it's everywhere. It's not just in the hobby, it's everywhere, right?
Right.
Um, I watch for that a lot. I read these posts. I've been making it a point to every morning try to flip through
It's
scammers
bad.
and stuff.
That's
It
bathroom material.
for sure, but like I've been trying to make it a point and looking, and I really am interested in the comment section and what people say and how they go because that shit matters too, man. Like I just had this talk with my 10-year-old son. Be a fucking leader. Period. It it'll make sense when you're older, And if you're
Yep.
older now, quit being a little bitch. Be a leader.
Hmm.
It was funny, one of his fanboys on my post had to come back and apologize later after he had to post him on Scammer himself.
Well, at least it fucking sucks, but at least he did. It's too bad. It's too bad he didn't do it in the first place, though.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, if
for
you're
sure.
wrong, admit you're wrong, man. Like, yeah, I will go to bat for you guys all day, but if I'm wrong, I'm gonna have, and I know it now. I got to admit it, man. I have to. So, dude, that's wild, man. That is wild.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
crazy story, and it's one of those. It doesn't have the resolution or the happy ending that you want, but it's awesome to see that you bounce back a million times better. I mean, look at what you're doing every day, dude. You're just killing it,
yep. Killing it, man.
like truly. And I know
Killing it.
people love you because they're always messaging you about stuff. You know what I mean? So that's huge, man. When you got the guys coming to you, like when there's, there's 25 of us or however many there are, and they're picking you, that says the world, man. It truly does. So good job, dude. You're killing it.
I appreciate that.
Hell yeah. Right on. Anything else you want to add to it? Is that pretty much it?
I think that is it. You know, just anybody out there, just be careful. Like we said, just be careful and learn from my mistakes. And the biggest takeaway from this is mine could have been avoided if people would have spoke up first. The people that apparently he had been scamming for a year had spoke up, then what happened to me may not have happened.
Man, that pisses me off so much.
But
But
that
I get
is,
it.
and I get it. People don't want to rock the boat either.
Yeah,
They
I get it.
also feel like, hey, such and such has a big name. If I go out there and I post what they done, no one's going to believe me, and I'm going to get attacked, and I'm going to be the one who is is put out of the hobby,
Uh,
not
that's
them.
that's exactly what I was just talking about. That kind of shit.
And we've all seen it, and we all know instances where people keep their mouths shut because that's what they believe.
Mhm.
And we've got to, as a card community, get out of that mentality that some of these people are card gods and are untouchable and can do what they want to.
Nah, player, nobody's untouchable, right? It's true.
Nobody.
Nobody, and we got to be careful with our words because you you can't you shouldn't accuse people without like concrete evidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
We can't be
Yep.
doing that because you say something about me, and if that's just enough to give somebody just a questionable thought, that could really damage my shit moving forward, or anybody. I'm just using me as an example, so this hobby is a microcosm of the world. It's just like your neighbors see something, say something. He wasn't really out there doing that. You just don't like the way he looks. So that's why you're talking shit about him. Whatever. The guy looks like he smells, whatever the case. But you know what I'm saying? Oh, shit.
I'm done with you, bro. I'm
I can't help
done.
myself, man.
Fuck.
I love this shit. I love it, dude. I say that we got to watch what we say, but all I do is talk shit. No. But
I think too is when you're looking at, groups you really want to join or groups you really want to pay attention to, like, and you could trust, I think you have to look at groups that people are like, if you look up Mike, you're gonna see that Mike's probably in pub, Mike's probably in Cartastic, Mike's in a lot of groups. Same with you, collective. You really gotta. When I approve people in the queue, like that's the first thing I look at is what groups are they part of. And normally if pub is up there or Cartastic is up there, I usually approve them. You know what I mean? And I think you have to kind of surround yourself if you're in the hobby and flashes and lines the same way is you really got to surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing and you can kind of trust.
well,
Um,
let's dig into that real quick. All right. So, for example, pub and Cartastic, which we're all in. Why those groups as opposed to anything else? Just whatever.
I think honestly it's because they're leaders, right? Just like us, like people trust us, people entrust in us, people entrust in them groups. Um, because if something does go wrong, we're going to put them on blast. We're going to put them on scammers so it doesn't happen to another member. We give a fuck about our people, man. That's what it boils down to. Where there's some fly by night groups, and I'm not going to mention, because it's not fair, because some people play in all groups, but there's some groups that I really don't fuck with, and it's just because I don't like the way they do their people. I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't like the way Mike was talking about it. If you're flashing a $40 fucking card for an hour, I'm not gonna fuck around in your group because that's wrong to your people. Because what are they gonna do with that card when they get it? You're probably not going to let them flash it for themselves. You were doing that as an admin perk. You're going to tell them it doesn't meet their comp, you know? So I think it's important to surround yourself in groups that are doing business the right way, is the best way I know how to put it, man.
when I said that I found a group that allowed me to come back in the hobby, it was pub.
Yeah,
Pub where I come
yeah,
back at. I got invited in there, and those groups, those guys were amazing to me. There's some really good guys in there.
Hmm.
Rich, I think that's actually where I met you.
yeah,
Was in there, so
yeah.
that I was lucky. I was
Now,
lucky.
can any of them groups take a turn tomorrow? Sure. There's a lot of personalities, you know.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing when you have big mod groups or big admin groups like we do. There's a whole lot of personalities, you know. And 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 I trust all my people. I'm not going to say I don't. I trust every single one of them. So I'm not saying our group in particular or any group in particular, but you also have to reevaluate all the time, right? You have
Yeah.
to reevaluate all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now pub and Cardtastic, us, we've been around for a long time. Them groups would never go sideways, you know. They're really good groups. But there is some, and I know you guys are probably in some where you're like, oh shit, they're one accident away from disappearing. You
Yeah.
know? Them are the groups I don't fuck around in, man.
Right. And there's, those two are two of obviously the bigger leaders, and there's more.
For
There's
sure.
more really good ones. You guys know what we mean, but for you guys that are new to this, especially, I know because of my history on Whatnot, I am surrounded by tons of newer to Facebook hobby, not new to the hobby, but newer to Facebook hobby, because they seen me, they seen Wicker leave, they seen, just a bunch of different guys leave and be successful on Facebook. And it's culturally different,
Mhm.
and for those guys that aren't sure, um, before you start hopping in stuff, watch, just
Yep.
watch,
Go in the
just
room and
watch,
watch, man.
read the rules,
Yep. Yep.
and go to Scammers and read the shit that's going on there and just kind of get a
Yep.
vibe and then make your own decision.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, dude, crazy story, man. And I didn't tell Rich what it was, the
He
specifics
did
of. He didn't even know. And then I was like, hey, you doing anything? Hey, jump on this. And then
6
lo and
minutes or
behold,
whatever.
yeah, right. Yeah. And he's like, I got to put pants on. And then, he ain't got no pants on. Damn it. But it's it's something that I think people appreciate to hear. And, I'm glad you shared it with us, and hopefully that shit never happens again.
For
Thank you for
sure,
letting
man.
me come on.
Hell yeah. Thanks
Yes,
for
sir.
being on, man. Thanks for joining me
All
on this
good.
Sunday morning. We got our first day of football camp starts for the season because Ivan gets reps in the winter because that's what Ohio does for football. I don't know what you guys do in Alabama, but it ain't beat us. So
Football camp starts the day after football season in Alabama.
yeah, right. It's because it's warm there, dude. I got 2 feet of snow.
We run football 24/7, 365 in Alabama. Roll Tide.
As you should. Hell yeah. Right on. I will cut all that out. I'm just
But
kidding.
you see that I am wearing my Bengals today.
That's all right. They're it's better than a Steelers shirt.
That's right.
As they say around here, Stillers. The Stillers.
Steelers.
Anyways,
Steelers.
guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will see you back in the mod chat. So
Yes,
have
sir.
a good Sunday, and hell yeah.